to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Mrs. Durham, would you perform the roll call, please?
Ms. Kern? Here. Dr. Raymond?
Here.
Ms. Williams? Here. Ms. Jett?
Here.
Mr. Short?
Here.
Mr. Graham?
Here.
Mr. Bates?
Here.
Mr. Greer?
Here. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
And is there a second for the motion?
I'll second.
Mark, we'll give it to Mark here. Those in favor of approving tonight's agenda, let it be known by aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The agenda is approved. And Dr. Mullins, we'll begin item 5 with school highlights.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, we're pleased to have with us tonight Miss Leanne Hill from the 4-H program assistant from the Wise County 4-H program, who has brought some individuals with her who will be sharing some exciting news and information with us. So Ms. Hill, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to come tonight and share with you some of the accomplishments and successes that we have had within the last year. So tonight, first of all, I want to thank all of you for your continued support of our program here in the county, and more importantly, in our schools. This has been a crazy year for everyone, and 4-H has been no different. Our traditional camp week in Abingdon was canceled, as well as our week at Virginia Tech, for the teens to attend their Virginia State Congress and compete. We've gone to meeting outside with the teens as long as our weather allows, and have been completing some community service projects which do not require us to meet in person. We are still committed to providing programming and services to the youth in Wise County, however that may look now or in the future. Last week was National 4-H Week. It was celebrated all over the country, the state, and this county. This is a time to recognize all the amazing things that 4-H does during the year. Just a few things to recognize. 4-Hers are 4 times more likely to give back to their communities. They are 2 times more likely to make healthier choices and 2 times more likely to participate in STEM activities. I would like to, at this time, share some of the positive things that have happened during this time and this past school year. Last year, over 2,340 youth received services in the school from Wise County 4-H. And that was with me working by myself, I might add. Over 2,000 of those participated in in-school enrichment in our county schools. Over 170 youth participated in the Cloverbud program in our schools, which is a program that provides lessons for 5 to 8-year-olds and talks about character and nutrition and just making good choices. 142 youth participated in special interest clubs. 18 youth completed the mini garden project this summer. 12 youth raised hens for the poultry project, and they were shown and they were auctioned off at a contest earlier this summer. 18 youth participated in a new program called the Farmhurst Program, which is a program to encourage agriculture with young ladies in our county. 15 youth participated in the Canine Series that was offered through the state of Virginia 4-H and completed their dog project. 32 teens attended the virtual 4-H State Congress online, and 2 of those participated in the competition areas. 110 youth in the county participated in the 4-H Camp in a Bag that we offered in lieu of our in-person camp this summer. There were 52 teen members in our 4-H Teen Leader Club who donated over 2,500 hours of combined community service this past year. Normally it would be double that, but because of the virus and the restrictions put upon us, they were not able to do all of those. Through a grant from the Molina Foundation, Virginia 4-H received 140,000 books to distribute to youth across the state. Wise County was fortunate to receive 1,500 of those books to distribute in our county, which have gone to every middle and primary school in this county to help with programs that they put on. 7 youth and 1 adult were chosen to be tapped as a 4-H All-Star this summer. 4-H All-Stars is an honor service organization. Membership in 4-H All-Stars is the highest recognition that a Virginia 4-H'er can receive. Virginia 4-H All-Stars is a service-oriented and volunteer-operated organization. Their goal is to contribute to positive youth development through service to the 4-H program of which they are a part. The 4-H program becomes the springboard from which an all-star jumps to other areas of service to people and their community throughout his or her lifetime. The 4-H All-Star organization strives for a cooperative effort with the 4-H program in all areas. And I might add that the students that applied for this and received this have put in some very large hours of community service, not with just 4-H. It just does not go over 4-H. It goes over their school and things like that they do in the community. Those who received this honor this past summer were Abby Crutchfield, Cassie Sturgill, Chloe Shoup, Grayson Bailey, Brody Allison, Colton Culberson, and AJ Kennedy, who was a graduate from last year but applied this year, and also an adult volunteer, Kyle Hill. At this time, I would like to recognize 4 of our youth who were elected to the Virginia 4-H State Cabinet this year, and that's the youth that are with me this evening. The State 4-H Cabinet Ambassador Team is the elite 4-H team leader group. Not only does this group play a large role in planning and conducting the Virginia State 4-H Congress, but it also has the responsibility of enhancing public understanding of 4-H. The 4-H Cabinet works to enhance the image of 4-H through effective communication about programs and activities offered throughout the year. Ambassadors are called upon to mentor 4-H team programs in their districts and serve in advocacy roles with elected officials, as well as to make appearances at major 4-H events. And I would like to offer them at any time that you think that they could be beneficial to our school system. They are more than willing to help in any way they can. So tonight I would like to recognize them and let you know who they are. So the first one is Jordan Sanders. She is a Southwest Ambassador and she attends Central High School. Next is Maggie Shell. Maggie is a mentor. This is Maggie's 3rd year on cabinet. She has been an ambassador and an officer the past 2 years. She will be working with the cabinet with fundraising and programming using her past experiences. She attends Central High School and she is also the Vice President for Wise County 4-H. Sam Fleming. This is his 2nd year on cabinet. Sam is the State Vice President for 4-H in Virginia. He attends Central High School. Sam is a 2-time state champion for 4-H, and he has attended the National Poultry Convention twice, the last 2, well, not this past summer, but summer before last and the one before that, and placed within the top 5 in the state. Last is Cassie Sturgill. This is Cassie's 2nd year on cabinet. She was previously a Southwest District Ambassador. She is this year's State 4-H President for the state of Virginia, and she is also the Wise County President and she attends Central High School. Cassie and Maggie both were also chosen to attend National 4-H Congress this year, which would have been held in Atlanta, Georgia, but it has been put on hold because of the virus. So I just would like to thank you all for allowing us to come tonight. And Cassie is going to share with you some of her 4-H story and her experiences and the things that she has gained from being a part of 4-H from the time she was in 4th grade all the way to she is a senior this year. So this is her last year to be in 4-H with us as a 4-H'er, but we look forward to her being a volunteer in the future. So, Cassie.
Hello everyone, my name is Cassie Sturgill and I'm the Virginia 4-H State President. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to come and speak in front of you all today. I'm going to be talking about my 4-H story and how I started to where I currently am today. It all started when I went to camp for the first time when I was 10 years old. All of my friends were going, so I thought I would give it a try. I ended up loving the atmosphere and the people, and that's what made me want to go back each year. Every year I met new people, and I had an even greater experience than the year before. From then, when I started high school, I entered the teen club. I'm still currently enrolled in the teen club, and where we do all types of community service and leadership training. We have participated in events like the Special Needs Fall Ball, Tractor Supply fundraising, volunteering at the Virginia-Kentucky District Fair, and much more. I wanted to get involved in the state level 4-H, so last year I applied and I got voted as the 2019-2020 Southwest District Ambassador. This experience sadly got shortened because of the coronavirus, but that just gave me more of an opportunity to apply for a higher position this year. This summer we had the opportunity to do a virtual congress where I got elected as the 2020-2021 4-H state president. I'm very honored to have this title and have such great past presidents and leaders to look upon. During this virtual congress, myself and 6 others from the Wise Teen Club got inducted to be a Virginia 4-H All-Star, which is the highest title a 4-H'er can have. If it wasn't for the help and the inspiration from my mentors and my fellow 4-H members, I wouldn't have these great opportunities. I want to thank 4-H and my community for the positive effect it has made on me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mrs. Hill, looks like you've had a busy, productive few weeks since the COVID hit us, I guess. And but want to thank you and your group for your willingness to serve in leadership roles, especially at the state level. And thank you for your community service. We're proud to have you tonight. Okay, Mr. Mullins, what's next on the highlights list?
Mr. Chair and members of the board, in an effort to promote awareness of school bullying, the VSBA Board of Directors has designated the month of October as VSBA Bullying Prevention Month. Childhood bullying is a significant problem nationwide. It can cause school absenteeism, mental and physical stress, poor school performance, poor self-esteem, and in some cases, school violence. Students who experience bullying are at increased risk for depression, anxiety, sleep difficulties, lower academic achievement, and dropping out of school. Bullying can also happen online. Reports of cyberbullying among public school attending students are highest for middle school age students, followed by high school, combined schools, and primary schools. School board members, superintendents, teachers, and parents play a critical role in creating a climate where bullying is not tolerated. It's been proven when adults and children stand together, bullying ends. And our school counselors spearhead school-wide campaigns each year, and bullying prevention has been and will continue to be a top priority in our school division. I wanted to bring that to our attention. Also wanted to share with you tonight, Mr. Chair, members of the board, that through the action of a committed group of youth with disabilities, Virginia has recognized October as Disability History and Awareness Month. And the youth credo, Disability History Education and Awareness, will promote positive attitudes in schools, creating a culture of mutual respect, understanding, and equal opportunities for all. Mr. Chair, members of the board, I also wanted to share with you that Superintendent of Public Instruction, Dr. James Lane, announced last week that despite the closure of schools due to COVID-19 in March, more than 9 out of 10 students who entered the 9th grade during the 16-17 school year earned a diploma and graduated within 4 years of attendance. Of the 98,481 students in the class of 2020, 92.3% earned a Board of Education approved diploma, compared with 91.5% of the 2019 cohort. The dropout rate for the class of 2020 was 5.1%, compared with 5.6% for the previous graduating class. Now, I'm extremely pleased to share with you tonight that in Wise County, our graduation rate was 97.7%. We're extremely proud of our students, our faculty, and our staff for their efforts in achieving this remarkable graduation rate. And I also wanted to share with you, Mr. Chair, that at the end of last week, Governor Northam announced a new allocation of more than $220 million in federal coronavirus aid, recovery, and economic security, or CARES Act dollars, to assist K through 12 public schools in Virginia. This funding will support COVID-19 preparedness and response measures for the 2020-21 school year, including testing supplies, personal protective equipment, sanitation, and technology for distance learning. Our staff met this morning to discuss the many needs that we have in our division related to the pandemic. Certainly technology-related services to assist distance learning, internet connectivity, PPEs, meeting the needs of our special needs population, facility cleaning and sanitation are just some of the things that we continue and will continue to have to utilize throughout this pandemic. Of course, HVAC cleaning and upgrades, pupil transportation to allow for additional spacing on buses, additional bus runs, food service needs, extra custodial services, and just a litany of things that we have had to do and had to make adjustments and adapt as we've moved along. It is stated in this new act that one-time across-the-board bonuses or stipends are not allowable use for the CRF funds, and in talking with some of our neighboring superintendents, certainly that's something that I think everyone would like to do. There's been much discussion about is that possibility, and of course, as I said in the language that we're continuing to work through, the fine print that stated that that's not allowable. And this funding must be spent or obligated by December the 30th, and of course, we'll be required to certify these funds have been spent or obligated by the middle of November. Our staff will meet again this week after meeting with our principals tomorrow to plan for the most impactful use of these funds. And certainly with the cleaning and just a variety of things that we've had to do for quite some time, this is certainly needed funding, and we certainly want to try to use it in the most, as I said, impactful manner possible. And that is all of the school highlights I have at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Really glad to hear about the extra money we can have to offset our expenses due to COVID. That's welcome news. Did you say December 30th was a deadline on that?
Yes, but it must be spent or obligated by December the 30th.
Okay. Okay, item 6 on the agenda is there a motion to approve the consent items as presented to us tonight?
So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent items as presented. Those in favor of approving these items, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Consent items are approved. Let's go on to item 7. And this refers to our regular September 15th meeting, one for September, and then we recessed it until September 21st. So this item will address both sets of minutes. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to be made to the minutes of either meeting? Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Those in favor of approving the minutes as presented to us, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries, and the minutes are approved. Let's see, item number 8, Dr. Mullins, educational reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have with us tonight Mr. Paul Clark, who will share news from the WCEA. Mr. Clark.
Good evening. I hope everyone's doing well. As far as I know, the teachers are working hard, working really hard. There are a few concerns that I may present to you tonight. One is the issue of we have parents who are really being precautionary. Okay, so we're having, I don't know, an increase in absenteeism because of sniffles, allergies, and coughing. Okay, because and I think it's a good thing that they are taking precaution and keeping them home.
Yeah.
Because you never know. There's 2,500 symptoms of COVID. But here's the problem. How long does a child have? Say, I'm going to take Philip Bates because he was my teacher. Say, Philip doesn't come to school for a couple of days because Mama hasn't taken him to the doctor, but she feels he's sick. How long does he get to make up that work and be counted as a present day and not an absent day? This is where the confusion is coming in with teachers, and they're asking me, and I say, I don't know. Maybe we need a policy that says, you know, COVID is 14 days quarantine. You've got 14 days to make up work instead of the semester. You know what I'm saying? Is if you keep extending it and they don't, say you're on your last day of the semester and you say, oh, I got to go back and take a couple of tests, and you get credit for it. Are you at school at that day? There's where the confusion is coming in. Okay. So I don't know if you need a policy that says so many days you have to make this up, and if you don't have them make it up, then you're counted as absent and your work is not used as a grade. I don't know if you need to do that locally or get in touch with the state. I'm not the person to ask. I'm asking you. And another one, the other issue is clarity and transparency. I've had different people from different schools that think that they're not getting enough transparency from their principals because there's people they've been coming in contact with COVID, and they're not being informed because they're saying, well, you weren't with them for 15 minutes. We really don't know if it's 15 minutes or 5 minutes. So I don't know how to address that to you. It's, we're all in this together, and it's a chance of, we just need to be transparent. People need to say, okay, I can't tell you who the person is that has been tested positive, but you have the chance, or you may have possibly been with this person, so maybe you need to take extra precaution and do your temperature things. But the problem is the older teachers are more concerned because, everybody say the older people are the more affected, and the older people may have more people at their house that they're concerned with taking it back to them. Okay? So, I don't know the answer, but you all may want to talk about it. I don't know. Make sure that principals are being very transparent with their faculty and say, okay, we possibly had a case and you need to know about it. Not tell the person's name, you know what I'm saying? But say, okay, just be precautionary and do things to make sure that you're checking yourself on a regular basis. Not just fever scanning in the morning and understand. But that's all I have, and we're working hard, and I appreciate you guys listening. I know the decision to come back 4 days a week and a Friday was a big decision. There was no good decision, but we are back in school. The children are working. Social distancing is a crazy land in my school, especially for me with 4-year-olds. I think I need a tape recorder that says, keep on your mask. Keep on your mask. Stay on your mask. Stay the mask on. But we're learning. I mean, if this is the new thing, then we're adapting. We really are trying. And come visit us. Visit your schools that you represent and see what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Mr. Chair, we have no one, we don't have a principal's report this month.
Okay, sir, thank you. Now it's time for public comments. Is there anyone wishing to address the board in the public comment session of the agenda?
Good evening, Chairman Greer, Dr. Mullins, members of the board. My name is Kathy Music, and as most of you know, I represent Virginia Professional Educators, and I placed on each of your desk a brochure, and it tells about our organization, but the reason I put it there is twice a year we are nonprofit, and twice a year we kind of clear out our debt and we give what's left back to teachers in the classroom. We were started by teachers back in 2000, and so twice a year we give it back in grants and scholarships to teachers. The fall submission, if you look in your packet, it's the third page. It looks like this. It tells about the grants and scholarships. They're up to, like I said, up to $500, and if a teacher wanted to take a class and get reimbursed, it might not cover the whole class, but $500 of it, every little bit helps. Or I know my daughter got manipulatives her first year as a teacher to help in her classroom. When I was working myself, I got a laminator or $500 to pay towards a laminator for my school that I was at also. Just to let you know that all the money's given away. There's a teacher in Scott County that's gotten it 7 out of the last 9 years. She applies every year, so the money is given away. So if there's anybody you know, that's the reason I gave everybody a copy. You can give them the sheet. I took, Dr. Mullins was kind enough to let me deliver to all the schools these brochures to be placed in teachers' boxes, so I did that probably sometime back in September. So teachers have them, but a lot of times they are so busy and it just kind of gets pushed aside. So if there's somebody that you know, please let them know about our grants and scholarships, because I'd love for the money to come to Wise County. Thank you for all you do, and if I can help, if a teacher needs help with this, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Anyone else for public comments? Seeing no one, public comments are now closed. Let's continue to item 10, discussion section. Let's see, Dr. Mullins, was there any comment to respond to from the last meeting?
No, sir.
Okay. And we'll go to 10.2, in-person learning update.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, I wanted just to give you an overview and share an update with you concerning our return to in-person learning. Of course, as you're aware, we returned to in-person on September the 28th with a 4-day per week schedule. We just began our 3rd week of instruction, and it's gone very well. I, along with members of our central office staff, have had the opportunity to visit all of our schools, and our children and our staff are pleased to be back in the classroom. Certainly it's different. We've had our challenges, but I've been extremely proud of our students and our staff for their efforts to follow our suggested mitigation strategies, masks, social distancing, assigned seats, hand washing, deep cleaning, are all now part of our daily lives. And the adjustment that they've made, as Paul and some others have pointed out, wearing the mask, and this is where I sit, this is my assigned place. It's just really been sort of remarkable to watch as they've tried and to do what we've asked them to do. And certainly we must continue to promote these healthy practices if we are to sustain our in-person instructional program. At this time, we have 2,023 students who have chosen the all-virtual learning platform. We've enrolled 16 students from outside our county during the past 2 weeks, and I feel like we'll continue to pick up some additional students. Both our teachers and our students have settled in, and the general consensus is that they're both extremely happy to be back. We continue to further refine our virtual learning platform every day, and students and parents, teachers, I think, are becoming more comfortable with it every day. We've had 4 confirmed positive cases in our student body since we returned, with 2 of those being all virtual students. At this time, we have 9 staff members who are in quarantine, and certainly we remind and ask all of our students and staff and parents to continue to be vigilant in following all of our mitigation strategies. The most recent health metrics for Wise County show a slight uptick in numbers, but certainly well below the peak we saw when we moved to an all-virtual platform. The latest health metrics I had a case incident rate of 11.7 with rates of positivity at 5.4. We asked, Ms. Short asked some of our principals today if they would be willing to share some of the positives and all of the good things going on in their building. And I'm not going to be able to read all this to you because it's a catalog. But I wanted just to point out some of the things that they shared. Our buses drop-offs are extremely efficient and organized thanks to our dedicated teachers and staff. We were joking yesterday they were more friendly and efficient than Chick-fil-A. We're running 2 dining rooms, 1 in the library with ease. Our pickup lines are running seamlessly. Parents are wonderful, allowing students to walk in by themselves. Building is beautiful. Our custodians are working extremely hard to keep it clean and sanitized. Our students are working very hard to complete their work. If they've gotten behind, they're catching up. Our teachers have been phenomenal, worked endless hours at school, at home to get the job done. School climate is positive, middle of a pandemic, and things are kind of crazy right now. But we've continued to have maximum effort from students, staff, parents, community support. I'm so proud of our nurse, guidance counselors, assistant principals, office staff, custodial staff, teachers, virtual, cafeteria workers. They've taken on many tasks that for many would seem impossible. So it's been so wonderful to see children back in our buildings, to hear the buzz, to see them interacting with each other. Lunches are going well, breakfasts are going well, teachers are working hard. We're sharing ideas, we're brainstorming, we're building consensus, parents are thankful, teachers and administration delivering work to students when transportation is not available. And this is just a small portion of some of the wonderful things, but I do believe that when you walk in our buildings, and some of you have visited already, we were all, I'm sure we were all, I guess, somewhat apprehensive about how it would go, how it would look, and would students be able to adhere to the guidelines? Would we be able to? And, I just want to brag on them and there's no question, we've had some youngsters we've had to remind about their mask in classrooms, on the bus, those types of things, but just the effort of everyone pulling together to make it work. When you think about roughly 6,000 people involved in this process, of course, as I say, 2,000 of those virtually, when you think about that and you think about, beginning of week 3 and The small number of incidents we've had, the positive tests we've had, it's really been amazing. And we've still got to work on making sure that we bring our students, we started in March with the virtual platform, and so we're still working to get them back where we feel like they need to be, and so we can continue to move forward. But overall, it's just really been wonderful to watch it unfold. And we're just really hopeful that we can sustain it, continue to move forward, and hopefully sometime here in the not too distant future, move back to a normal school day and a normal school week. That's certainly our hope. And I also wanted to mention to you that our enrollment as of today stands at 5253. As you're aware, we budgeted for 5350. And certainly these numbers are not out of line with enrollment numbers that we've seen during a lot of our normal school years. We do feel like we'll continue to pick up additional students, and pretty optimistic that we will see additional students choose to come back after the semester break. And so we're continuing to see students trickle in as we have for the last couple of weeks, and we think that's going to continue for a while. So just an overview, Mr. Chair, that I wanted to share with you and let you know that any of those little roadblocks or hurdles that we've encountered, our students and faculty and staff have moved right on through them, made the adjustment, and we're back to school.
That's certainly wonderful to hear. I hope we can maintain that level of efficiency and effectiveness, and especially that level of enthusiasm that's prevalent in the buildings. That's wonderful news. Any board member have a comment or question?
I've talked with all three principals, and they've all had the same type of statements. In fact, one principal said the discipline has been so much better. Why didn't we think about this distance thing sooner? And when things get back to, quote, normal, we might have to remember that the distance thing does help with discipline, and we might use that again later. So, of course, that was all in jest, but, they said everyone is so pleased with the efforts that everyone from parents to the kids and everyone on campus is putting into this has been exceptional. And as Paul said, we have some parents that have gone from taking their kids out of school and putting them back into virtual and wanting to keep them there, but we've also had several that were started in virtual and that they've said, I want them to go in full-time in school. So it has been going both ways, and the teachers that I've talked with have said that they wish that they could have more students in their classroom because there's still several of them that are really far behind, and it's hard to teach those that are far behind when they're in virtual.
Thank you. Anyone
I
else?
asked the question, Mr. Chairman, and the members of the board, I asked the question, one of the first cafeterias I visited during lunch, I said, why didn't we think about this 100 years ago? This is the way to eat lunch. That little hum or roar that you normally hear in a normal, kids were eating, they were still interacting, but it was just a lot different. I said, yeah, we need to maybe hold on to this when we go back to school.
I understand. Anyone else have a question for Dr. Mullins or a comment to make? That is good news. Thank you, sir. We'll go to item 10.3, the solar access in Southwest Virginia Schools resolution.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, for the past few years, we have discussed and shared an interest in exploring the possibility of utilizing solar energy in our school system. And throughout that period of time, we've met with and discussed and taken part in several conversations with solar energy specialists, and we feel like, based upon our research, that it's certainly feasible for us to reduce our utility fees substantially, perhaps over a period of time. And of course, the resolution that we brought to you tonight certainly doesn't require that we enter into any kind of agreement or we take on any kind of solar project. All that we are simply asking is that if we make the decision to perhaps move in that direction, we can do so in the most positive environment possible. This resolution asks that APCO allow for net metering. And net metering allows residential and commercial customers who generate their own electricity from solar power to be able to do so. And during the summer months, when we would expect to generate more power through the use of solar, we would be able to bank that power during those months and then use it during our peak demand season for most of our schools, which is in the winter. Also, it asked that APCO allow for power purchase agreement financing, which is a solar financial agreement where a developer comes to our school system, designs, permits, finances, and installs a solar energy system on a customer's property at little to no cost. And the developer sells the power generated to the host customer at a fixed rate that is typically lower than the local utility's retail rate. And of course, that lower price serves to offset the customer's purchase of electricity from the grid while the developer receives income from these sales and also gets tax credit and other incentives generated from the system. And it's important to note that right now, we only have one school that is serviced by APCO, and that's J.W. Adams. We are continuing our discussions with ODP along these same lines, and again, what we're asking for is just in the event that this is what this board chooses to do, if we feel like we found someone that we're comfortable with, that would be willing to come in, meet all of our criteria in terms of if we had a roof install, all of the warranties that go for with the roof, and just a number of things that certainly we would have to feel comfortable with before bringing that recommendation to you. But we're simply asking for, in the event we decide to go that route, that we can do so in the most desirable climate for us in terms of it making monetary sense to us. So I'll be glad to try to answer any questions you have. And you know, when we started, we actually had some very several discussions. I guess it was 3 years ago. And at that time, we felt like we were moving in that direction. And some of the language in a couple of the laws made it really impossible for us to take advantage of solar power in a way that made it worthwhile for us. But since that time, we've had some additional incentives and tax credits that have been made available to these developers, that it makes a little more sense for us to at least consider it again at this time. And so I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that you might have. And again, we certainly are not ready to recommend anybody or recommend that we even move in this direction, but if we do, this would be helpful to us, we think.
Now, not all of our schools are equally suitable to
Right.
benefit from this.
Right.
Is that correct?
We had, and we did this before, and then again, since that time, we had all of them, we've had someone take a look at all of them and tell us, you know, these, you would expect over a 25-year period to see this kind of savings here. Expect to see, you know, and they've given us an idea of each of the buildings. And as you say, some are just better situated to take advantage of solar power.
Questions from other board members? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mullins, for that information. Let's go down to item 10.4, VHSL information.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm sure that all of you have followed the local sports programs and news venues that have shared VHSL news over the past several months. And of course, you know, we certainly, the VHSL has followed the governor's guidelines in terms of what's allowable, what should we be doing at a given point in time. And as a member of the executive committee, we've met, last year we met 4 times total. This year we've already met 14 times. But I think all of you are aware that the seasons have been moved forward and will begin in December. And I realize that all of you are very supportive of our extracurricular programs and perhaps get asked time to time about upcoming seasons and events. And we are continuing, all of our teams are continuing to adhere to the Phase 3 guidelines, and that teams can get together, they can do conditioning, they can do team building activities. But daily health screens, sanitation of equipment, students bringing their own water bottles, social distancing, all being part of that Phase 3 guidance. But season number 1, which will be what we've always referred to as winter sports, will begin on December the 7th and run through February the 20th. You know, basketball, cheer, swim, wrestling would all be included in that winter sports. And season 2, which began on the first week of February and run through the end of April, is what we've always called fall sports: cross country, football, golf, volleyball. Season 3 would run from April 12th through June 26th. What we've commonly referred to as spring sport: baseball, soccer, softball, tennis, track. Our academic activities are Scholastic Bowl, forensics, debate, robotics, film festival, and creative writing would run from February through June. And I have included in your packets all of the schedules that we have completed at this time. There's a couple that are still finalizing some games, and I think a couple of conferences are still trying to manage the best way to assign games. But for the most part, you have those schedules that we will start with, the basketball that we will start with in December. And when we get the remainder from some of those schools, we'll also provide those to you as well. You know, there's been some groups across the state. One such group, Let Them Play, that's held rallies and let's get back in action. And, you know, nationwide, there, I think, are probably 29 states that have sort of opened back up full. Everybody have at it. But there's a number that have opened up with greatly shortened seasons, seasons in which you only play district games, you only stay within this locality. And then there's a number of states that have done what Virginia's doing and just moved it into the starting in the winter and moving forward. We're hopeful that by December that we will have conditions that will allow us, all of these extracurricular participants, to have seasons, have championships, and have state champions crowned at the end of their seasons. I think certainly all of us want that for our participants, and hopefully that's exactly the way it will play out. But again, as soon as we finalize the last couple of calendars for a couple of sports, I will make sure you get those as well.
Greg, are we going to continue? Is that going to go forth even if we're still in Phase 3?
It is at this time. The director of the high school league has already requested of the governor for some additional guidance in terms of we're in phase 3. Are we looking at perhaps a phase 4? What will that look like? Will it allow our athletes to be a little better prepared when season begins? And at this time, we have a meeting actually on Friday the 16th, Executive Committee, but they're waiting for additional guidance from the governor's office before they move forward with a different approach or a different plan. One of the concerns I have, Dr. Raymond, is you've been conditioning, you've done some of those activities associated with your sport. You do that until the first day of practice. Will all of those athletes be ready to go? Where in the past, we've spent a considerable amount of time leading up to the season in preparation, and you're sort of able to hit the ground running. How will that be different? And so that's one of the concerns that the league has, and I'm hopeful that we'll get maybe some of those restrictions lifted prior to the season's beginning, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, 10.5, the surplus auction.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I would like to recommend to the board that we schedule a surplus auction for November the 7th with a rain date of November 14th. And speaking with Mr. Lawson and Mr. Giles, we have some items that are simply no longer of use to the school division that we need to offer to the public. And I would ask that we approve these dates under action.
Questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on into the action portion of our meeting. We will not be going into closed session tonight to discuss personnel, so we'll go ahead and take the vote now. Is there a motion to approve the employment recommendations as presented tonight?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
It was Martha, is that right? Okay. Those in favor of approving the employment as presented to us tonight, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. 11.2, the solar access resolution. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of approving the solar access resolution, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. 11.3, the surplus auction. Is there a motion to approve the surplus action as presented to us tonight?
So moved.
That's Mark. And is there a second?
I second.
Those in favor of approving the surplus action, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. General information. Before we get into that, per se, tonight, some information maybe you may know or may not know. I'm certain that Dr. Mullins is aware of this, but today is Dr. Mullins' birthday. And we wish to...
Wondering if somebody was going to tell me where the gifts were, but
I got half a bottle of water left over here.
thank you. There's a whole one right here.
Oh, okay, well, that's better off, you better off. But we do wish you a very happy birthday, Dr.
Appreciate
Mullins.
that.
Anyone else have any general information to pass along to the board?
I do.
Okay.
At the last meeting, there was not exactly time to do this, so I'm going to do this now on behalf of special education. School nurses have been busy answering questions concerning COVID-19 and contacting parents and students. An isolation room has been established in each school for staff and students who exhibit symptoms of COVID-19. Wise County nurses, along with other divisions in the region, are receiving Medical Reserve Corps training for contact tracing and administering vaccines. Flu clinics are being planned for staff and students when supplies are available from the health department. Required vision and hearing screenings are in the process of being conducted, with allowances for time to get students into the school. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Chairman, I laid everyone the activity fund for you to look at. So in November, it will be on discussion and action
In November. Okay, so the activity fund's good.
for you to look at.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you very much.
So in November, we'll do both.
And give us,
And the SBA still has extended the registration if anybody wants to sign up for the virtual conference. They don't have an agenda, so I just know that's it.
COVID strikes again, right? Yeah. Any new items from anyone? Okay, board comments. Let's begin over here with Donise.
Yes, the first thing I would like to say is that I was really, really pleased to see the 4-Hers here tonight. One of the reasons that I was very pleased is I also am one of those people that started 4-H when I was in the 4th grade. I wasn't in Virginia, I was in Kentucky, and 4-H made a very, very large influence in my life. It was there when I needed something special for people like me that did not have money, that didn't have things, that didn't have what all the end people had. Okay, I guess that's the best way of saying it, the easy way of saying it. So it gave me an activity where I could become who I could become. And my junior year of high school, I did become a Kentucky State 4-H champion and did get to go to Club Congress, and that was in Chicago. And for a little girl like me from Eastern Kentucky to go to Chicago with all of these people from all over the United States, it was a tremendous, wonderful experience. I did get a lot of experience with leadership, a lot of training, a lot of really wonderful support all the way through. I did a lot of demonstrations. A very, very shy girl, I learned to talk in front of people that I did not know that I was ever going to be able to do. I learned the difference between saying egg, because my first demonstration was eggnog, and I was saying you take 3 eggs, and when I went on to the regions, I was told that the other people in the world pronounce it egg, and I had to practice saying egg instead of egg. So I had to learn how to talk like other people talk. And I learned those type of things through 4-H also. And by doing that, I was able to learn how to have confidence in myself. These young people back here, they have done tremendous things. When she said she started out by going to camp, camp is just one part of it. Camp is just one very small part of it. What Virginia 4-H does is a little bit different, and I have worked with the Virginia 4-Hers. They do a lot of community action, but they also do for these young people the same kind of things that 4-H did for me, and that they give confidence to people, to young people, to kids who really need to be able to learn how to stand up and say, I can be who I am. And because of 4-H, I was able to to have that confidence in myself and to be able to get accepted to a college, because it was a big factor in my getting accepted to Berea College. And so anyone who ever says 4-H is nothing, please don't, because I'll be the first one there to say that 4-H is a really big deal and needs to be a bigger deal in a county like Wise County, where we have really a lot of farms, where we have a lot of kids that really need to learn those kind of skills. The next thing that I would like to say is, okay, I think I'll just stop there and I will give a quote. I do have a quote for tonight. This quote was actually written and come up with by an advertising agency owner. His name is Charles Rosner, and he had a small business called Vista a long time ago, way back in the 60s. Some people may remember a small company named Vista. And he came up with this little saying, and it just caught on, and lots of people started using this saying that I'm going to give. And actually, to the point where he was actually, someone from the New York Times came to him and said, are you not going to sue these people for using your quote and saying it's their own? And he said, no, I think it's a pretty decent set of words to live by, so I don't worry about other people using it. And the person who is given the most credit for it is somebody named Eldridge Cleaver. But the quote is, there's no more neutrality in the world. You either have to be part of the solution or you're going to be part of the problem. And that was way back in the 60s. And I think that's even more like we could just say it today, like it just happened. You're either going to be part of the solution or you're going to be part of the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Raymond?
Just want to say I'm thankful that we're able to be back in schools, and very thankful that caseload's been real low.
Yes. Vicki?
Happy birthday, Dr. Mullins.
Yes, happy birthday.
I also was a very active member of the 4-H throughout my school career, too. Benefited greatly from 4-H.
Thank you.
I'm glad everything's going so well at the school.
Oh, yes. Martha?
I also want to thank the 4-H group for coming tonight. That is a wonderful program, and Miss Leanne has done a great job with those kids. Made it a lot of fun for them, and it's a good thing, and I'm so thankful for the gift that they brought us. And several of my grandchildren are involved in 4-H, and they just think it's the greatest thing ever. And so I'm anxious to see it continue to grow in the county. I also want to say how grateful I am that we've been able to get back in school and that things seem to be going so well. Have gotten many good reports from principals, from teachers, and kids and parents. So that's a good thing. I'm very thankful that everything seems to be going so smoothly, and they seem to have just adjusted to this situation real well. I also want to say how thankful I am to the teachers and the principals and administrators for all the extra work they've had to do to make this all work as smoothly as it has, and especially to our IT guys that have gone above and beyond the call of duty to make sure that everybody was able to get on their Chromebooks and work those efficiently, and they continuously try to improve any situations that come up. They're always trying to improve on it. So I believe in giving thanks where thanks is deserved, and want to also thank Dr. Mullins for always keeping us so informed as to everything that's going on. That means a lot. When people call and ask me questions, I am so thankful that he has sent us emails to tell us what's going on before we get those calls. So I'm just feeling very thankful tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Herb?
Well, all I can do is add to what the other board members have said, but I'm going to change the subject just a little bit and ask our, Dr. Mullins mentioned the new funding that we're supposed to get or have already gotten. Will we have to adjust the budget for that new funding before you can spend it or obligate it?
I'm not Dr. Mullins, but yes.
Well, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to our finance director. I apologize.
Mr. Short, we will have to do that, and as soon as we have, we're waiting, Dr. Kaiser's getting some more quotes, and we'll have a itemized list of where every bit of that's allocated.
Well, can you use this additional funding to reimburse us for money we've already spent?
Yes. Sir. Anything, the first section of money that we got, the first allocation that's good for actually 2 years, that's spendable through 2 years. We haven't pulled down all of those funds yet. So this new section, that's the 916,000, has to be either encumbered or spent by December 30th.
Right.
So we've been advised by DOE to spend that first, ask for reimbursement for that first. So we will have to modify the budget because it's definitely over 10%. And part of the requirement is that it has to be spent on non-budgeted items.
Thank you.
So does that mean we're going to have a budget meeting sometime soon?
We're either going to have a special meeting or we're going to have to do it in November.
Mm-hmm. One of the two.
I was thinking, okay. Thank you.
Dr. Mullins, you'll give us more guidance on that in days to come, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. John?
I would also like to thank the 4-H, and I really want to thank all the teachers and administrators and the staff and the bus drivers and the students and the tech team for all you all have done. And I taught school for all my life, most of my life, and a lot of y'all have taught school, and I can't even imagine how it would be right now to teach school and go through what they're going through. So, we really need to, if you see a teacher, you really need to shake their hand and thank them because they're doing double duty on teaching in a classroom and then teaching virtual. I think sometimes we forget that. And I know I've had a lot of them ask me, this is really hard work, but we're getting it done. And they're very positive, and we really, really need to remember them all the way through that. And especially when this is over, we need to remember them. And also, I want to say a big old happy birthday to our superintendent. Nobody said the age or anything, but I'd say he's at least 49 by his looks, but happy birthday to our superintendent.
Thank you, sir.
There's two things we can't hide, is age and weight.
And miles. I have a lot of miles.
Knowledge.
Well, I just echo what everybody said, and I do want to reinforce say again, be thankful for our staff and everybody that works in our school system, that hard work they've done. It goes from top to down to all through. Now, I know that sometimes we leave it with Gary, his crew's been really good. They've really worked hard, and Brandy's food service, and of course the teachers, administrators, and the staff members here at the central office. Just appreciate everybody for the hard work they're doing. That includes everybody.
No level of employee in our division has been spared the responsibilities of stepping up and doing more, I guess, than they've ever done before for the division. And they've done it in style. And like I said, Dr. Mullins and Morrison and the staff here at Central Office, to oversee things, to provide overwatch, you've done a wonderful job. And like Martha said, in keeping us informed, we really do appreciate that. It's nice to have that information before we get the phone call from someone. And the 4-H is good to see them tonight. Leanne is the engine that drives that 4-H organization locally. She is full of energy, and she is very devoted to that particular group of kids. The leadership positions that they've assumed at state level and locally, you would expect nothing else. This is Wise County. And also, like John said, down to the bus drivers, and you got bus drivers who are running some awfully unusual runs and schedules and backing each other up when they're overfilled. And you've got our teachers. Our kids show up. That's just only part of the equation. The other part is the superhuman efforts that our staff has put into being ready for those kids and providing them with services and doing our best to keep them safe throughout the day. And I just wish we could keep them safe when they go home at night. But this has been a very eventful meeting. And again, Dr. Mullins, happy birthday. And I may have an idea, but I'm not going to mention the age. And but we'll leave it at least 49. That's a good place to leave this. And having completed our agenda, this meeting is adjourned. And